It's time for this week's episode of Brandon Sports Talk, featuring in-depth interviews from those who are trending in the world of athletics. And now, here's the host of Brandon Sports Talk, Brandon Pate.
Welcome back to Brandon Sports Talk. In today's episode, I have the privilege to interview the USA race walker Olympian Robyn Stevens. How are you doing today?
I'm doing well. Thank you for having me, Brandon.
Thank you. Can you talk about how you knew that you wanted to compete in race walking?
So I started off as a runner, and I was a dancer since I was 2 years old. And then I got into soccer, and then that kind of led into running, cross country, which led into track and field. And once I got into track and field, Claudia Wildy, my youth coach, which was a club coach, introduced with the Pacific Association in California, introduced every single athlete that she's ever coached to every single event that's in track and field, Olympics. And race walk is one of them. And around that time, my parents had said, well, you're doing too many sports. If you got to pick, you can't just keep dancing, because dancing is really expensive, because I was in competitive dance and the outfits are super expensive for recitals. So they're like, you can't just do dance and track and field and soccer. You have to pick one or the other. And in soccer, I'm small, I'm 5'2". At that time, I was only 4'9", and like 80 something pounds. And so I knew that there was no athletic future for me there, or like not, it's not wise, it's not when I actually put all my eggs in one basket there, because I could get pushed. I was good at soccer, but long term, looking at how like Mia Hamm looked like and all of them, I didn't have the same build. So I had like noodles for arms until 2016. And so that one was off the table, because I wanted to go to college, and I thought, okay, I'm the youngest in my family, so I wanted to maximize my scholarship opportunities. So it had to be in athletics and academics. And so it was like, okay, what is my best scholarship opportunity, track and field or dance now? Because soccer is probably not going to get me a full scholarship for college. And so I talked to my dance instructor, and she didn't say the magic words until too late. But my youth coach, Claudia, said, hey, stick with me, and I guarantee you that I could probably get you on an Olympic team and to any college that you could ever imagine. And that was the magic words, was any college you can imagine. And then the Olympic team was bonus, because I thought you had to be chosen as a little baby to go to the Olympics, and then they send you off and then train for it. I'm like, oh, I'm 12. I still have a chance. So I chose track and field, and then I missed dance though, because I love dance. And so she said, well, I want to take you to Stanford Invite. This is 1996, I think. And she said, I want to take you to Stanford Invite and show you what race walk looks like by the pros. And I was watching it, and they had the men and the women combined, and it was Kurt Clausen and Philip Dunn and Susan Arminta, who has the most beautiful form to this day technique for US women, Joanne Dow. And I was watching them, and all their legs in a row reminded me of the chorus line, which is a famous dance with Baryshnikov. And I thought, I can nail two birds with one stone. So that's what called me to race walk, was, okay, I'm going to race walk, because now I can do track and field and dance. And jokes on my parents, I get to do both. And it doesn't cost them extra money. So that's.
Of course, what was it like going to San Jose State?
San Jose State. So they basically saved my life. Augie Ogbright was the cross country coach there. I think he's since retired. So what happened is I got recruited. Claudia was right. I got recruited by every single school you could imagine, except for the fashion institutes, which is what I wanted to major in. But I got all the Ivy League schools, all the D1 schools, all the D2, D3. Everybody was sending me. I didn't even know how to apply for college. I didn't know people had to do that and write essays and stuff, which annoyed some of my colleagues. But and an ex-boyfriend of mine who went to Stanford was like, you never had to do any of that. But I got I got messages from everyone, recruited from everyone for running and race walk, but there was only one college at the time that did race walk. And so, I was looking at ASU, I had looked at Stanford, Stanford was too close to home. I wanted to leave for college. I had looked at University of Arizona. So I was almost going to go to either U of A or ASU, which would have been with Des Linden, who was Desiree DeVille at the time. And then I love the hill workouts that they did there. I was looking at, obviously everybody wanted to go to U of O, Oregon at the time. And then I just remember Augie Albright would call me from San Jose State all the time, but like Stanford, it was too close to home. So I wasn't really thinking of that one. So I was really focused on Arizona. But then none of them wanted me to race walk. They all said, well, if you come here, you can only focus on running, no race walk. And at the time, my goal was I wanted to be one of the youngest ever to qualify in race walk for the Olympics. So I was going for the 2004 Athens Olympics. And, I had potential for running for the marathon or the 10K, but at the time there was still this belief that women shouldn't be running marathons until a certain age. So I wasn't allowed to do a marathon at the time. And so I thought, okay, well, for college, my best opportunity for Olympics is going to be race walk. So I guess I should focus on race walk as long as they let me run. And since there was only one school for race walking, which was Parkside and University of Wisconsin Parkside, I thought, okay, it's a D2 school. The male runners run the times that women need. So as long as he lets me run with the male runners, that'll bring down my running time to about the mid 15s to high 14s, which is what I need. The D2 women are too slow for me. Like I run 18 minutes in my sleep. Still to this day, I don't even run anymore, but I can whip out it. Like yesterday or 2 days ago, I did Wharf to Wharf and my 3K split was 17:26. So I thought, okay, I need to be at Olympic level. I need to be at least running 5Ks in the mid 15s. I'll run with them. Anyway, didn't work out that way. I get to Parkside. They only wanted me focused on race walk. They wouldn't let me train with the senior race walkers, which is what I needed. And they wouldn't let me train with the men because the coach there was super religious, thought that like if women interacted with the men, it would distract us because of hormones or something. And they had a separate track and field coach that was male, and Lucian was great. Lucian was the coach for the men. And he was like, yeah, he was always like, I don't understand why this coach wouldn't let me train with them. So it was a real disappointment. I got super depressed. I mean, I just talked to Dave Devine of Dystat, and he was talking to me about 2002 Olympic World Juniors, which is, I competed in World Juniors in 2000 when I was in high school and 2002 when I was a freshman in college. And I was telling him, I was like, I don't remember the race because I was so out of shape for that race because that coach just didn't train me, that I was super depressed because I'm a type A person. I try to be the best at anything I do. And I will do the work. You tell me what to do, I do it. And so when I wasn't getting the training I needed, I just focused entirely on my academics and was super depressed with that. I would go out on my extra runs. I was just doing extra stuff because I felt like I wasn't, but I didn't know what to do. That's why I need a coach. And so I was so depressed. I got homesick for California, especially when the snow started coming down, even though it was beautiful to watch. It's just, I wasn't used to training in it. And I got an eating disorder because I started gaining weight because I wasn't getting the fitness that I needed. Plus with the hours I was maximizing my credits. So I was in school like all day when I wasn't training. And so I was gaining weight. Plus I was developing. I finally hit my growth spurt in college. I didn't hit it in high school like everybody else. And I thought it was because I was, anyway, so I got an eating disorder. And so I called my youth coach, Claudia, and I said, hey, and my parents, and it's like, if I stay here, even though I loved my friends that I made, my teammates that I have there, I'm still in touch with quite a few of them. For my own wellness, I need to leave the state. I need to transfer. And at that time it was August. So Claudia was like, well, you could wait an extra year and you could apply for, reach out to the schools that have recruited you, the D1 schools that have recruited you before, or I can reach out to some of them, but I think it's going to be hard. You're going to have to wait an extra year because everybody's given out their scholarships. It's August, and I said, I don't know if I can survive another year. I think it'd be bad for my mental health. And so she called around, and Agia Wright said, we happen to have one more left and we love Robyn and we'd love for her to come here. And so they called me, and that meant I didn't have to wait an extra year. And so I transferred. My parents came out, picked me up in their Winnebago, and we drove across country. And he basically saved my life. I mean, I feel bad because when I arrived, I was already pretty broken emotionally on the athletic ends of things. But getting there, I still am friends with I'm still in touch with several of my teammates from Parkside and San Jose State. And one of my teammates at San Jose State is Valerie Willer, and she is who got me in touch with Wolfpack several years later in 2015, and how I returned to the sport to now, because I was telling her how much I miss running, and so she invited me out. But it was San Jose State was because it was unfortunate though, because it was track town, but they didn't have track and field for girls there. And so I didn't get a track season. So that was the only unfortunate side, is that track is where the Olympic, as your Olympic development is track, not cross country. So we could only do cross country, but I was still kind of depressed because I was so used to competing at a high level, and all of it was geared towards Olympic development. And now we don't even have a track and field season for women. So that was the only unfortunate side, but it saved my life, so I'm very grateful.
Of course, what was it like, obviously, getting to make that Team USA team and go on to one day become an Olympian?
Which one? So my first race back, or just all the teams?
The first race.
So my first race back was in 2015, because after I transferred to San Jose State in 2003. So by that point, I was basically retired and just running out, because I'm being paid, I'm employed as a runner at San Jose State, and focused on my academics. I did qualify for the 2004 Olympic trials, but I had to step away before I could compete, a month before I could compete in that. So my first Team USA since Junior Worlds in 2000 and 2002 and Pan Am since 1999, where I won the gold. And I'm still the only race walker to win gold at a big international race. Other than Larry Young, who got, still gold, because Larry Young got bronze way in the past. Anyway, so Arica was my first team. That was in 2015. And I qualified. So in 2003, I qualified for my first Olympic trials with my first 20K, because they had moved. For the women, it was always 10K. And then they had just recently moved it to 20K for the women. So my first and only 20K, I qualified for Olympic trials 2004 with my teammate Ann Favalise, which was really funny because we didn't even know what the qualifying time was. So we were singing to each other. I'm trying to think, ABBA. We were singing ABBA during the race, joking around. She's cracking jokes because she's hilarious, and she could be a stand-up comedian. And then we come across, and that's when the coach was like, you qualified for 2004 Olympic trials. We're like, oh, we did. So that was the first one. My second 20K ever, but first back after the 12-year hiatus, was in 2015. And again, it was after a head injury. I hadn't been competing for 12 years. And I got to the race, got across the finish line, and my mentor, Ron Daniel, who had mentored me even when I was under 20, when I was 12, he said, you qualified for the World Team Championships and Trials in Arica, and also 2016 Olympic trials. I'm like, really? I didn't even know what the qualifying time was, and it was only my second 20K. And so I thought, I'm not really keen. I'm not sure if I want to go to the competitive level again, but I do miss traveling with Team USA. And so I went to New Jersey to do the trials race for Arica. And when I got that USA bag, it just brought me back to my under 20 years. And I hadn't realized how much I missed putting on that jersey. And I hadn't realized how much I just missed traveling with other athletes who just really appreciate the sport for the athletics and fitness, and just it was cool. It just took me back. And then I got on that plane, competed. It was my first time, so I didn't eat right. So it was my slowest 20K to this date in Arica. But when I got on that plane home, and I got diagnosed with anxiety disorder in 2009. It was something it was a challenge I never had when I competed under 20. So traveling used to cause the anxiety. But when I got on that plane, there was a song by Katie Tunstall, suddenly I see this is where I meant to be, and I was like, yeah, I should have never, I needed to leave to get healthy again. And then I returned, and this is this is the sign from the universe that I'm not done yet. And I had to leave so that I can come back with this healthy mindset of now I'm enjoying. I do entirely for fitness, and everything else is entirely for fitness and curiosity to see how fast I can go, and while staying fit or wellness. And when I say fit, I mean mental as well as physical. So that was what I was missing before my temporary retirement. I was just so fixated on I got to be fast, that I wasn't enjoying it after a while. And I had forgotten why I even got into the sport, which was entirely because I love being outdoors and traveling. And so that's the step away now. When I compete, it's entirely just way more. I think I compete more intelligently. It's just totally against myself. I'm not thinking about what anybody else is doing. So yeah, just putting on that jersey is nice, and it just makes me think back. It helps me keep in mind how much you got to sacrifice, and then how much I've overcome.
Of course, how does it feel to have the jersey on and have the Olympic rings on your jersey for each time you went to the Olympics?
It was a dream I did not think I was ever going to see come to fruition after I had to step away in 2004. So when I came across that finish line last year of the Olympic trials, oh my gosh, it was a mix of emotions. And then because of COVID, we didn't get to go to opening, but it was so cool because I got to watch opening ceremonies with my mom in the living room next to me, like all the other years when we would watch the Olympics together, because she's the reason why I even know about the Olympics, because she would watch every year. And so I would watch, I remember 1996 Olympics in the 2000s, and we would watch the opening and closing together. And so here it is like my opening ceremonies that I qualified for. And though I can't be there, it almost was more special that I could be there watching it with my mom as she's getting all emotional and crying because now her daughter is in this Olympics. I'm leaving to, on a plane in 6 days from that opening day. And then at closing ceremony, getting to see the torch as they were closing it to pass on to France. And I was like, oh my gosh, I can't believe I finally got to see this come to fruition, and I did it. And I thought in 2004, I had to say goodbye forever. And I got, it's because of my teammate, Valerie Wellert from San Jose State, just saying, hey, why don't you just join us, once a week with Wolfpack? And that it all started. And then my mentor, Susan Armenta, who inspired me to race walk, she was the one who had the beautiful technique at Stanford. She started coaching me in 2016. And she just said, hey, I'm going to teach you how to fuel for a 20K, because that's really important. And I'll show you that you'll probably lose weight the more you eat. And if you ever start over fixating on your weight or whatever, I'll intervene and we'll step away and we'll just do it for fun. So that never became a problem. So she was really good because I admired her and Kurt Clausen the most for the US race walking. They're still my favorite. And so just, yeah, it was really cool because they if it wasn't for them, and then my now coach Jacinto, I would be sitting in an office probably doing finance right now because I was in the middle of studying for CFP, that's fun too. But I love being outdoors and I love doing what I do. I love being active. I've been active my whole life. So it was really cool to finally be able to wear the Olympic rings. It's not a dream. It is what I am. And the ring, they give us a ring. And yeah, this probably means as much to me as my engagement ring.
What was that feeling like when you received your ring for the first time, knowing that all of your hard work paid off?
The Olympic ring?
Mm-hmm.
It probably means the same as much to me as my engagement ring. It was a long, long journey, and one that I didn't think was going to happen. Just like I didn't think I was ever going to get married. So.
Of course, what was that like after the first Olympics, going back multiple times to the Olympics?
So I actually have only been to the Olympics once because even though I qualified for Olympic trials in 2004, I got injured a month before. And so I was the card runner instead. I ran the red cards. And then I retired. I retired completely and didn't look back. I lived in Silicon Valley because San Jose State's in Silicon Valley. And what that means is we got to work 16-hour days or more to keep a roof over our head for our closet space that we live in. So I was in the office doing marketing and media stuff, graphic design and computer. I worked with Apple, computer stuff, sales and tech, and then working for a financial firm. So I didn't even look back until 2016. I returned, and that was my first year back. And I got injured a month before. So even though I was top 3 in the nation, I got injured a month before that trials. And I was just happy I was able to compete at least in that trials, because in 2004, I wasn't even allowed to start. But I got like so many MRIs done to make sure it wasn't going to injure me further. And then race walkers don't make much money. So at that time I was studying to be a financial planner. And so I just thought, okay, since I'm injured again before this trials, I just want to be able to compete in the trials that I've qualified for. And I might, just in case I have to retire, so that I can survive and focus on my finances. It wasn't until Susan Arminta offered to coach me to continue, because she's like, no, you're a sub 129, 20K girl. You can definitely make the Olympics. Don't give up now. And my mentor, Claudia. And so I was like, okay, I'll give it another go for Tokyo. Oh, actually, it was my boss, my financial boss, told me, look, you're an athlete, because he used to be a football player and he ran as well. He did the first Work for Wharf in the Dipsy. So he's just like, no, Robyn, you're going to be okay. I've taught you what I know. You know how to live like scraping by, because that's what I've been doing my whole adult life. So just take 4 years off, and then you can retire after Tokyo and just focus entirely on race walk. Because I'm older. I'm 39 right now. And so he was just like, the only way you can make sure you don't get injured before the race is that because I wasn't properly getting warm-ups, cool downs, the sleep. I was working on 4 hours of sleep a night because I'm pulling so many shifts. And because I did freelance marketing stuff on the side outside of the financial firm. And so he just said, the only way your body can recover properly and make sure you're not injured is if you can train full time. So so he gave me a good severance package, and I focused 4 years, but then the pandemic happened. So then that became 5 years. And then Worlds was going to be for the first time here. So I thought, okay, well, that turned into it's going to be 6 years, because I'm not going to retire before Worlds is in our own country for the first time. And then that's only 2 more years till Paris. So why would I retire then? And if I'm capable of a sub 129 and I'm getting closer and closer, and I already have the A standard or the automatic standard for the 35K, that I'm the only one with the 35K standard, but that one's not guaranteed to be in the Olympics. So I'm just like, I have the best coach right now to get me there. I might as well just stay until Paris Olympics, as long as I can figure out ways I can scrape by and make it happen. So I can make that happen. We can talk again, and I can tell you what it feels like to make multiple Olympics. But right now, one-time Olympian, and proud and happy.
Of course, what does it feel like, obviously, training for that Paris Olympics?
Good. It's nice because it's not really like I fulfilled my dream. I made the Olympic team. Now it's just, I want to see what I can do to basically leave the sport in a better place than I found it. My mom was the CEO of Girl Scouts, and so the whole Girl Scout mantra is leave a place better than you found it. And there's some things that I need to clean up or help clean up in the U.S. race walking community, and so I'd like to help with that and improve some things. And then I really want my mom to be able to see a live Summer Olympics, because she just loves the Olympics so much, and she's who got me into it. and she's seen a live Winter Olympics, but she hasn't seen a live Summer Olympics. And how cool would it be to be able to see her own daughter at the Summer Olympics? So since they couldn't go to Tokyo because of the pandemic, no families were allowed. That's pretty much also why I decided to just continue on for Paris, just to see if I could make it and get them to the Olympics, to the Olympic Stadium to watch and fulfill my mom's dream, because one of her dreams was to see both Olympics live. So I really just want to give back for that. And then my mom and dad have put so much time and energy and money into supporting my sister and I with our dreams, that's just like, being as impoverished I am as a race walker, it's like, that's what I can give to them before I got to return to, the office and being a full adult again.
How has it been, like, obviously getting to meet your fans and have them ask for your autographs and photos of you?
That is always really special because it's unexpected. Especially with race walking, you don't like when I go to South America and Europe, race walking is more followed and it's more popular. But in the US, it's really the only people who really know about it is New York, East Coast, because they have it in high schools. But after Olympic trials, having so many coaches and younger rising stars approach me, and then just seeing how well Taylor Ewart has been doing, like that feels. And then we got Talia Green, she just broke my record, had stood for so many years. She just broke it like last month or something. She's part of the Pacific Association, so I have a lot of pride in that. She's like, Pacific pride. And then so she just broke that record. And then we have another Adeline Johnson coming up, and it's just really special when I don't expect it. I don't expect to be remembered. I don't expect to be followed. I have had this since I was younger, like, oh, the teachers have a lot of students, they're probably not going to remember me. So when I'm asked, it makes me feel really appreciated for the time and energy that I'm putting in. And then also just like surprised, like, oh, wow, I'm just like another human just like you. So it's really special.
Of course, how did that feel, as you said, that one of your teammates broke your record?
Proud, because it means that, race walking is just such a misunderstood and unknown sport in the US, that just have it. And she's a West Coast person. You expect it from East Coast because they have more opportunities than us. Like for a while, I was the only West Coast person, and I get a little ostracized for that. But then now we got some really good athletes coming from out of it, and I'm really proud. And she's got a good future in front of her. She's a good runner as well. And then she actually is interested in what you're doing. She loves interviewing, and so she's starting to do a little bit of that thanks to Eric Bull with Let's Run and stuff. And so I don't know, it's like, it's cool when it's somebody that you can be proud of. Like, she's a good person. I met her at the mile. We did a mile Grand Prix race earlier this year, and she came second behind me. And I was injured, and I just watching her form, her technique is really good. So it's good when it's done by a good person with great technique, and I think she's going to have a great future. I think she should stay with it. She'll be on an Olympic team as long as she stays with it, and hopefully they treat her right.
Of course, what are some of your future plans in the sport of race walking?
So my plan is, right now I am trying to, I'd like to retire with a bang. So going for all the American records. So this year I went for the 35K. I broke the 35K record, the 25 and the 30K record, and I set the area record as well for the 35. I still have that because, Worlds, I was just talking with a friend of mine. I was like, oh, I wonder if anybody broke it at Worlds, because I was kept out of the race. But I still have it. So I still have the area record for that. And then, so now I'm just going for the 10K and the 20K record, and make, obviously, the Paris team. I'd like to double. We don't know what the second event's going to be for race walk, if it's going to be 35, it's going to be a mixed 35, or if it's going to be a relay, a 5K relay. But it'd be fun to do both. And then that's pretty much my personal goals for it, and get my parents there and my mentors, my coaches there, as a thank you to my current coach too, because he's the one that sealed the deal with Tokyo. But mostly it's to just kind of rub out some of the long history of of wrinkles in the fabric to make a better future and a better current experience for our race walkers here and track and field in general. Just, I'd really like to help improve the selection process and just get some of the member federations up to speed on a business and marketing level, just because I realize I do have that to offer, experience with that. Most athletes, they either just start in college and then they just stay doing that, and then they go into the federation doing stuff. Like Aretha used to be like a thrower, and like a lot, we got Wallace Spearman, who was a sprinter, who's now in the national office. And like, so usually they and Lauren Williams, and they go through, and they've never stepped outside of the oval until after they've retired, and then they kind of stay in it. And so I think there's some things missing where it's like, ooh, that's something I can offer, because I stepped completely out of track and field for 12 years and did marketing, business, sales, all of that. And so I'd like to bring that experience I'm on the AAC as the at-large event leader and also the chair for Pacific Association. So I'd like to take some of that experience and really help with where we're lacking in marketing and business know-how, because I just see some missed opportunities and a lot of shooting in the foot, where they have something there, but they're not recognizing it as an opportunity. And I'd like to kind of shed some light on that, and that'll be a huge improvement for all of track and field, and get that. So it's more, returns to the popularity it had when I was watching in 1996.
Of course, what advice would you give those college athletes that are looking to get into the sport of track and field and race walking?
My advice would be to first academics. You got to focus on your academics, and you do as many sports as possible. So, try out for that soccer team, try out for track and field, do all the events, try every single event, even if you think it's ridiculous. I threw, look at this bike. This is not a thrower's bike, but I did shot put. It like dropped 2 inches in front of me probably. I did the 100 meter, which I was not bad at the time. I did every single event possible, except for at the time there was no steeplechase for women, and our school didn't really have a strong pole vault, which is the event I really wanted to do, because I wanted to be a gymnast, and the pole vault's basically the gymnast equivalent event. But do every single event, try every single one of them, race walk, all of them, because you never know. They also bounce so that you're not, it helps with injury prevention as well. So if you do all of those, it can help build your muscles for long-term longevity as well, so that you can still be doing this when you're 39 like me and older. And do just explore the sports, but also don't make it your profession in high school. Have fun with it. You have time to make it your profession out of high school. And focus on wellness, and focus your own competitors yourself. So just compete against yourself, and the rest will come with it. Just because if you try to be the best that you can be, you're only going to improve. And that's my advice for that. And if you want to be with and then you got to look out for yourself, because you got to expect that not everyone's going to understand what you're doing. So just trust in your heart, and just do it. I would say for USATF and Olympic development, I know a lot of high schools will they don't really understand how club works. So high schools will say, oh, we don't want you competing on club and high school. I was just talking to a mother, and she's very fast. She's 16 years old, runs up north. She runs for CIF, and has a lot of talent, but her high school coach just doesn't understand club, and is telling her she can't compete outside of high school. Well, a lot of the competition is outside. So definitely join USATF, and regardless of what your high school coach says, do nationals, do international races if you can. And if you do that, the high school is going to be embarrassed not letting you run, because you're probably the fastest on the team. So just do it for experience, because colleges are looking at that. They're looking at how you perform national level, and don't slack off your junior year, because that's when they're looking. So make sure you're really doing your stuff your junior year, but have fun.
Of course, what advice would you give those track and field players that are looking to one day make the Olympic team?
What advice for them? stick with the course, and not everybody's course is the same in linear. Don't expect it to be linear. Mine was definitely not linear. And go with be open-minded. So originally I wanted to go to the Olympics in the mile and the marathon. I wanted to be the first woman to break the 4-minute barrier. And I wanted to go in the marathon. But at the time, we can't control what the world offers us. And there wasn't a lot of opportunities for women. And it was brand new for the Title IX when I started, when I was in junior high. And so race walk was introduced to me. Yeah, when I first learned it, it looked funny to me. Now I think it's weird when people think it looks funny. I'm like, it's just another event. And also I think it's harder. It's harder than running. Running, you can get away with having sloppy form. You can be running with the worst form. You could crawl across the finish and you can still finish. Race walk, you got to have your technique down pat. And what I'm learning to do is I have way more cardio than my technique can keep up with. So I haven't finished a race tired yet because I haven't been able to get the most out of it. So I'm really excited with these next 2 years. What will happen once I can get my technique up to stamina with my cardio, because I'm also going to be doing more marathon running to help with that. But for Olympics, just keep your path. Don't think that everybody's path is linear. I stepped away for 12 years and returned, and that's when the Olympics happened for me. Some people, just be open-minded, try what's out there, and you never know. You never know where it's going to lead, but it's always worth it, whether it's for the memories and the connections that you make with the people you meet on the teams that you make. And pay attention to the qualification requirements, and just really get to know World Athletics and the site. I know the site can be the USATF site and World Athletics can be a little difficult to navigate, but if you can understand the system, the ranking systems, and who's who as far as up at the top, then you're less likely to, people are always going to try to block you. There's always going to be people who are going to try to block you from your dreams. So have integrity and just follow your heart and just be mindful of the open doors.
Of course, what advice would you give those athletes such as yourself that went into retirement and then transitioning to come back out of retirement?
So a very common thing among Olympians is depression after the Olympics. And I think part of it is some of them don't know what to do with themselves after they've been dedicating so many years to get to this goal. They get it, and then it's like, now what? It also happens with a lot after they retire. So like Kara Winger, 4-time Olympian thrower, she just retired after this World Championships. But after Tokyo, she was going through a little bit. She was open about it, and so a common thing is, what do I do now? You're so good at you make your life like this athletics, and there's so much that gets done for you too. And so it's kind of that transition can be a little bit weird. So for me, I went through that in 2004. Was like, okay, I know I'm one of the top in my event and in the sport. That's demonstrable by my performance, by my place and all of that. But then I get into the normal work life and I'm working in an office, and it didn't matter how good I was. I could be the best in my department. I could be the best, at what I do, because I would always try to learn all the department stores, and I would be the supervisor, and I would become, I'd have these managerial roles, but I wasn't getting paid that role, or I wasn't, and I was like, well, I don't understand. Like, I'm doing, so the most complicated thing was, well, in track and field or in sports, the harder you work or the better you are at it, the higher you perform, you're recognized for it for the most part. But in the office, you're not always recognized for it. There's, so it's like, okay, wait, what do I do? So it can make some athletes go through a period of depression because they kind of have an identity crisis. So my recommendation is have more. So for me, I didn't stay in that crisis, because I've always had multiple dreams. I love the arts. I originally wanted to go to college for fashion design, and I wanted to major in psychology because I wanted to actually work with I already knew what my thesis was going to be. I wanted to work with psychopaths, but in art therapy and with people with neurological disorders. So that was my original plan when I went for college. And so for retirement, have other, don't just make before retirement, have a, just explore various hobbies. Don't just make athletics your only identity, because it's not your identity. What you do is not your identity. It's who you are and who, what your character is. So I don't know, have other hobbies and interests in addition to athletics, so that when you do retire, you have something to fall back on and you don't totally have this identity crisis of like, well, I was an athlete, now what am I? You're a human. That's what you are. And then athletics is something that you do, and whatever else you enjoy. Maybe you enjoy cooking, maybe you enjoy that, or you want to be a mother, or you want to be a father, or you want to be whatever it is, an artist. You have that to fall back on.
That's great advice. Where can my listeners find you at on social media?
Social media, I'm on Instagram and Twitter. I am at Robyn, ROBYN, design, DESIGN. So like designing something. So Robyn Design. And then on Facebook, it's Facebook.com/Dream in Gold. So it's dream, like what you have at night. The letter N is in Nancy, gold is in the alloy. And then my website is www.walkinrobyn.com. So walk, the letter N, gold, Robyn.com. And that's where I'll have like some of my artistic stuff, as well as my entire athletic resume.
Thank you again, Robyn Stevens, for your interview, and best of luck in your future in the U.S. racing walker.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
You can find Brandon Sports Talk on Facebook at Brandon Sports Talk, Instagram at Brandon Sports Talk, Twitter at Talk_Brandon, and you can find me on YouTube at Brandon Sports Talk. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Thank you again, Robyn, for your interview, and best of luck in your future.
Thank you, Brandon, and best of luck for everything you do too.
Thank you.
You've been watching Brandon Sports Talk. Please feel free to like, share, and subscribe to Brandon Sports Talk on social media and on YouTube.